unintentional process? I don't think so. I think it's slow. I think it can be very intentional. It is the simultaneous infliction of payback and the disavowal of having the intention to pay back. And the other person is left scratching their head and they say, well, are you angry at me? And you say to them, what?
No.
Why no? And then inside yourself you say, yeah, man, I scored, I got it. Yeah. There is also a very sophisticated psychological concept that I have developed called wussy aggression, which differs a little bit from passive aggression. And imagine, I don't know if you have them down here in Singapore, but I think you probably do. Xenon halogen lights in automobiles. They're blue. They are blinding. Okay, imagine that you are driving down a 2-lane road, and here comes a guy with those halogen xenon lights, and you are provoked. You are angry because of the unfairness of, and usually they come with BMW cars. People we know that drive BMW cars are arrogant, narcissistic people. They have more money than they deserve. And so here is this arrogant person driving this car, and we are going the other way, and he's blinding us. And we are very angry about having to deal with this on a dark night. And so we flick our lights, our bright lights, and they flip their halogen lights, which had heretofore been on regular and now are really blind. However, you may decide to flick your lights again, but the key to wussy aggression is this. You wait until maybe 50 feet and then just give them your full blast of your lights. And then they pass. You give them close enough to the point where you pass that they can't, their reaction time is too slow and they can't flick their lights back on. And you say, gotcha. And your assumption is that they're not going to turn around. And probably that, I have learned in my clinical practice, is not a safe assumption. Okay, those definitions. Now, how do you confront? I would like you to be thinking of a process that involves 9 steps. The first step, and this is not complicated, and they're all written out for you on the second sheet. The first step is make a time and a place. Don't catch people on the run. If you want them to listen to what you have to say, be sensitive to where they are and what pressures they may be experiencing. Make it comfortable for them as well as for yourself. This is not a hit and run. This is a negotiation process. Make a time and a place. Number 2, say something nice that is relevant to your confrontation. Like, you know, I love you, if it's a spouse or a kid, one of your kids. I really value our relationship as a friend and want to make it stronger. Say something positive. Now, the third thing gets into the behavior that you are taking issue with them about. Do not, if you can avoid it, do not use the word but to transition into it, because that kicks out the nice stuff that you just said. However, same word. And yet, same word. And is okay. Now, having said that, or I also have something more difficult to talk to you about. Number 3, when you. Number 4, I feel. Please use a descriptive word, a descriptive emotion word. If you say a word like, when you, da, 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 I am upset with you. No, not good. Not good. If you can label the feeling accurately, the feeling, you get a lot of value in jettisoning that feeling by expressing it. Is that not what we teach our children? To express their anger rather than to break our furniture or otherwise act out. Say it, but label it accurately. I am really angry with you. Or whatever you're feeling. When you, 3, I'm angry, 4, 5. Now, please say back in your words what it is that you heard me say, so that I know I expressed myself completely. Take responsibility for this. Many people say, when you, I feel. Now, do you understand? No, I'm an idiot. I don't understand. It's humiliating sometimes to people to hear that expression. Does that bother you when people say, do you understand? You guys are, you don't have my anger. You are much, much calmer than I am. But sometimes it's a little provoking to me. Or even worse, do you follow me? No, you're just too brilliant. Whatever, make sure that they say back to you what you had said in your, in their words, to your satisfaction. Very important that they heard everything you wanted to say. Number 6, why did this happen? Explore why it happened. Now let's say, what is your name, please?
James.
James. May I make something up with you to illustrate step 6? Let's say James has been on top of things all night. Fabulous. Okay. But let's say that James had fallen asleep. And let's say that I'm a very narcissistic, arrogant American person, and I take great offense at that. And we go through the steps, and I confront James. And it's okay for James that we're talking here about this. And when I say, James, why did you fall asleep? He says, well, quite frankly, I've had a very busy day. It's late at night. I hadn't eaten yet. I didn't sleep last night very well. And, oh yes, probably the biggest reason, Brian, that I fell asleep is because you are among the most extraordinarily boring people. Now, there's a point to this. If you confront somebody and they dump it back on you, sometimes people say that they try to confront people, but they turn it back on me. What they are doing, I think, is they are blaming you for their behavior, which you are taking issue with, which neutralizes the confrontation. Don't let that happen. Now, how would you exit that situation? James says you're just extraordinarily boring. What would I say? Would I be defensive? Then I'm in trouble. If I take the bait, my issue is lost, and then we start talking about my boringness or lack of boringness. Okay? Something along the lines of, maybe so, James. I've heard it before. Something simple like that. Acknowledge it. However, when you fall asleep in my seminar, I'm still whatever. Boringness notwithstanding. And then get right to the very heart, I believe, of confrontation. Without the next step, something is lost. And that would be the effective resolution of the anger. The ending of it by the remedying of it. You had mentioned, sir, at the beginning, how do you resolve anger? Step number 7 must be a part of it, I believe. Maybe sometimes it can't. I will talk about that in a few minutes. But let's say that you can at least ask for something. What would make it right? So I would ask James, please, if this ever happens again, get a better night's sleep, come caffeinated, do what you need. And then James would say to me, okay, I can do that. And then we go to step 8, and James says, if you could be more entertaining and maybe not so monotone and therapist. Okay, and then I say, okay, we could do that. And then step 9 is thank you. Might seem like a long process. It could occur very briefly. It could go on all night with very productive spin-offs, especially at step 6. Why did this happen? You could get pretty involved, but folks, please bring it back to step 7 and ask for what you want. That and something in the time we have left, something else, which is defensiveness. The asking for what you want and the defensive response to criticism are 2 of the most difficult things I find for people to be able to do. To be non-defensive and to be to ask for the things that they want. People, when I teach these skills, say, I shouldn't have to ask for it. They should know what I want. And if they loved me, they would give it to me. And I would say, actually, a part of, the mercenary part of me says, hey, go for it. Change, you're going to be here for the next year. With that kind of an attitude. No, ask for what you want. Very important. Now, what do you think? Your response to that model, is it pie in the sky? Is it unreasonable? Yes, ma'am.
The step number 5, where for me, it's coming across as a little bit of arrogance, where you say that, can you repeat what I have told you?
Yes.
I understand the motive behind it, like you said, basically to understand how much they have understood what I need. But my question is there not a little bit of arrogance in that?
If you say it like that, do you understand or repeat what I just said? Yes, that comes across. Be very careful because we're dealing with somebody that is likely to feel kind of defensive at being confronted. So any way you can soften that by saying, would you please? I am hoping that I've expressed myself clearly. Would you please say what you want? Wait, does that come across better?
Yeah, because I think the major stumbling block is that if that was crossed, then 6, 7, 8, 9 is there.
They're gone. Yeah. I am a narcissistic, arrogant. Be careful the words you use. We must all be wordsmiths as therapists.
And I think the tone as well.
Yeah.
It depends on your tone, the intonation,
Yes,
like the way you said it.
absolutely.
And
It's not just the word.
sorry, we don't use the word problems as well, like anger problems, we use anger issues.
Anger issue.
Because no one wants that you have a problem.
Yes. There you go. There you go. Yeah.
Issues is much more softer.
Softer.
Very good.
I have a question.
Yes.
The model seems very valid for the justifiable anger on different levels. What if you're dealing with someone who has anger issues that you could say don't have a valid cause? For example, I'll just make something up. If you're dealing with someone like an older parent who is calling their son or daughter, and the son or daughter doesn't answer the phone because they're out there working or they're, and the parent gets very angry and has anger issues or long-standing issues about something that the child can't really control, or that's just an example that I'm making up, or the example you used with James, say that you got very angry with him.
And I didn't think it was, he had a right to be angry.
Yes.
I run into that all the time.
What model is used for that?
Well, the model would be the collaboration with James, whether I into maybe a discussion here for a few minutes of non-defensiveness. I might not think that I am a boring person at all, but at some point I might want to hear James's impressions. And what if he says some things that I say, oh my gosh, did I really come across that way? There is always the potential to learn something, I think, from hearing discrepant information from how we see ourselves. And if we give the other person an opportunity, even though we are 100% certain they're wrong, what have we accomplished if we blow the person away? What have we, with our defensiveness, what have we accomplished if we say, tell me more? Oh my goodness, those 3 words, tell me more. In moments of conflict, you have the courage to be able to say, tell me more. I want to hear more from you. Maybe that gets to some of the question.
Well, I guess as a therapist, if you're working with someone in that issue, how do you help them resolve their anger?
It helps if the angry person and the non-angry person are on the same page, literally with the confrontation process, and work hand in hand. I confront you with my issue, then you confront me with my issue. That's good. Sometimes there is a lot of anger, and the other person is so defensive or inaccessible or demented even that it is not possible to work through to a step 7 solution with this person. They're not capable of it. Okay, I want to know, what do you do with the considerable number of injustices in your life that are not possibly addressed and resolved? What do you do? Resentment? Hovering over you? Oh my goodness, that will eat you alive. What do you do?
Acceptance.
Acceptance? That's a big part of it.
Let it go for now.
Oh my goodness, what's the big thing that people, we tell?
Forgiveness.
Forgiveness. I'm going to tell you something that is heretical, and that is that I'm not sure I believe in forgiveness. Of course, you're going to say, well, that's because he's an angry guy. Hey, what do you do when you forgive somebody? I want to know. Tell me, what is it? What do you do? Specifically, what are your behaviors when you forgive? I forgive you. What do you do?
You accept.
Acceptance? I accept that you acted unfairly to me. That's part of it, yes. What else?
You let the person off the hook.
Oh, now we're talking about something interesting. I think that is the conventional understanding of forgiveness. We grant them absolution and exonerate them from the unfairness. We let them off the hook. Well, that doesn't seem quite right to me. What if you say to me, Brian, I forgive you. And what am I going to say back? For what? What did I do? Right? Forgiveness may define the transaction according to power dynamics. I am the one, as the forgiver of you, I am the victim with the power, and you are the perpetrator. You are the bad doer. I'm not sure that rests well with me. Yeah.
We are letting ourselves off the hook.
From what?
Like you said, because we feel like we're the victim. So by forgiving, we're letting ourselves off the hook.
We might let ourselves off the hook and then avoid maybe any further confrontation. And maybe that resentment will still hover over the top of us. So forgiveness,
Sorry, if you have resentment, for instance, in a long-term situation where you might have a very sick child or an aging parent living with you, and the resentment is ongoing, it's like something that, you know, when you mention forgiveness or whatever, it's like, how do you, I mean, is it possible to not be resentful in situations like that?
I'm not sure.
Yeah, yeah.
We all probably have used forgiveness, and I think it's worthy, but I would be aware of some of these issues. It has limited, I think, value in some cases. If it works for you, God bless you, do it. Now, in your packet, if you would turn please to, I wish I had numbered my pages. Well, there's a box. It looks like this. And the 2 pages before that box are a list of communication skills that are kind of a distillation of, I think, the best and the most effective ways of talking with people in conflicted situations where you have to tread very carefully and be wordsmiths, like I was suggesting earlier. These are the things that all of you know about, we all use regularly, and we teach to the people that we work with. In number 9 and number 10, I talk about the value of embracing criticism. This is a very, very tough process because it involves not opposing the criticism that comes our way, but looking at it as potentially augmenting. Now, if you would flip back to the box, this is the familiar Johari window. I've adapted it to my own uses here. It's a little bit different from the originators in the 50s. Their names slip my mind right now, but essentially it's the same concept. Through this window comes everything that could conceivably be known about yourself. And that is, I think, a good thing. We talk about the unexamined life is not worth living. Know thyself. Know everything that you could possibly know. Well, there's some interesting dimensions here. Is the information that is coming through this window about you known by others? Yes or no? Is that information about you known by yourself? Yes or no? Well, in the upper left-hand quadrant, that information is known by others and known by you, what is public, right? On the upper right-hand quadrant, the information is known by you about you, but it is not known by others about you. Those are secrets. The things that we hold to ourselves and don't share readily with others. Bottom right-hand, it is not known by you, and it is not known by others. In a psychological, psychological level, this information is oftentimes accessed through spirituality and through psychotherapy. In a medical domain, we'd be talking about things such as, for instance, aneurysms, vulnerabilities, genetic predispositions for certain illnesses. Would you want to know? Would you want to know if you had an aneurysm? Up to you. Some people would say, no, I would just let it happen. Well, okay, let it happen. This one, the bottom left, is the most powerful cell in this whole matrix. This information is known by others about you. Truths about you known by others, but not about yourself. Okay, if you blow this information away with your defensiveness and you don't know this information here, all you've got is what you already know. There's a great story. A woman walks into the British Museum and says, I would like to see your French Impressionist paintings. And the curator says, well, as you know, we have the greatest selection this side of Paris. But I would really encourage you to see the Rodin sculpture exhibit, which is touring, and this is the last day, last chance. And she snaps back at him and she says, young man, I know what I like. And he says, in all due respect, ma'am, it appears to me that you like only what